Wouldn't it be amazing to never have to work again? Where the money that you've earned previously in your life is making more money for you automatically to the point where you can take care of all of your basic needs and have extra money to spend worry-free on the things that bring you joy. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the differences between assets and liabilities, go over a few of the different basic investment vehicles to consider when you want to start investing, and show you how you can start growing your money today.
Manifest.
Thanks so much for joining me here on Manifest Mitchell today. If you're new to my channel, I'm documenting my journey as well as helping you crush goals, create a dream life through financial independence, and of course, give back to make the world a better place. If you get some value out of this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, and let's jump into the video. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you want to start investing is you want to understand the differences between assets and liabilities. An asset is anything that's going to create a future economic benefit for you, like generating income, holding some sort of intrinsic value, or going up in value over time. A liability, on the other hand, is something that's going to create a future economic obligation for you, like owing other people money with debts or loans. I could make an entire video explaining the differences between these two, but all that you need to know for today is that investing consists of consciously putting your money into assets rather than liabilities. A few examples of liabilities would include a car loan, a home mortgage, not the house itself, but the debt you actually owe on it, personal loans, and credit cards. Now, most debt is pretty much just a terrible thing to have, but there are ways to leverage the debt in a responsible and financially prosperous way. You could borrow money on a home that you'll use as a rental property, which will generate cash flow and appreciate in value over time. Or borrow money to start a company that has a solid business plan to make you more money over time. If you do have consumer debt besides a home mortgage, I would highly recommend paying those off first before you start investing into assets. Some of the most common forms of assets would be stocks, personal lending, treasury notes and bonds, any personal possessions where you own more of the value than you owe on it, like a car or a boat, jewelry or clothes, and most forms of real estate are considered assets. Now, the reason I say most is that when you buy a home, you typically put some money down and borrow the rest on a mortgage. The home itself is an asset, but since you borrow money from someone else to own it, you're also creating a huge liability for yourself, usually much larger than the actual equity you have in the house or how much of the house you own. Now, real quick, there are two distinct different types of assets: depreciating and appreciating. Appreciating assets go up in value over time or generate income for you, like most stocks and bonds, real estate, raw land, or treasury notes. Depreciating assets go down in value over time, like most cars or boats, unless they're classic or vintage, clothes and watches, and pretty much all personal possessions that you use on a frequent basis that depreciate over time. So keep in mind that even if you're putting most of your money into assets, you could still lack consistent financial progress if they're going in value over time or not making you any money. Like with the case of purchasing a car on a loan, you're literally borrowing money and paying interest on something that's going down in value over time. This is pretty much financial suicide for a lot of Americans, especially if they don't have cash reserves or don't own assets that are going up in value. And hey, are you getting some value out of this video? Make sure to hit that like button and crush that subscribe button below if you haven't already. It's right there. Do it right now. There are pretty much an unlimited number of ways to get started with investing with as little as a few $100s. You really just want to start as soon as possible with whatever you can afford and consistently invest over time until you can afford larger opportunities. So how can you get started today? The easiest, most simple, lowest cost, time-tested, reliable way of investing is index funds. Index funds are insanely diversified groups of companies that represent a sector or position in the stock market. For example, you could have tech indexes, blue chip stocks, Fortune 500 companies, and so much more. Again, I could make a monster video going into details about all this, but just know that the S&P 500, or the top 500 companies in America, and the Dow Jones, which is the top 30 companies in America, are typically pretty good benchmarks of how the economy in America is doing as a whole. If you decide to invest in mutual funds instead of index funds, which is totally fine, make sure the mutual funds are at least on pace with, if not beating, these benchmarks. I would recommend starting with some simple index funds through Vanguard or Robinhood. One of the funds you could check out that I'm in right now is called the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index, or VTI, which represents each company in the entire stock market proportionally to their market share. You don't get more diversification than this. It's super easy to set up and has very minimal fees. You could also look at investing in S&P 500 funds as well. Just start putting whatever you can afford into these funds on an automatic deposit each month, whether that's $50 a month, $500 a month, or even $50,000 a month. The last thing I'll say is that while the indexing strategy is a great long-term investing strategy, it's also just a great way to save up over time until you can afford bigger and better investment opportunities. Just pile as much money as you can into these funds over the course of a couple years, and you should see some appreciation in value as well as dividend payouts, which you can later sell and move into larger investments like real estate or business. The key here is to always be diversifying and investing your money to create multiple streams of income. I appreciate you checking out this video today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've had any experience investing in the stock market or real estate or business, I'd love to hear your thoughts about what's worked well for you and some mistakes you might have made along the way. I'd love to keep the dialogue going in the comments below so that we can all help each other and learn from each other's experiences to create our dream lives together. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.